Russell Westbrook is one of the greatest rebounders at his position, if not the greatest of all time. He's averaging 7.4 rebounds per game for his career, which is the second best mark ever for a point guard, only slightly behind Oscar Robertson, wherever 7.5 boards in his career. However, Oscar played during the 60s at a frenetic pace, and the teams averaged about 20 shots per game more than today. He also averaged 42 minutes per game compared to Westbrook's 34, which means his numbers are slightly inflated. Ross averaged a triple-double in 4 NBA seasons, which was unprecedented, and it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't pulling 10 or more rebounds a night. Sure, you might say that a lot of times his Senators gave up on a rebound just so Russ could get it lead the fast break. It's still the man who has done what hasn't been done before, mainly due to his insane athleticism and effort to rebound the opponents out. Of course, Russell is still faster than most players, and he's still dangerous in transition. Even though a slight dip in athleticism is noticeable now that he's 33 years old, and in his 14th NBA season. And finally, Westbrook is a willing passer, which was one of the main reasons why the Lakers traded for it. Last season, when LeBron was resting, the Lakers struggled mightily to create opportunities in the half-court, and Westbrook was supposed to be a worthy alternative as a primary ball handler when LeBron is on the bench. Unfortunately, this year they are struggling on offense even more, and it's largely because of Ross. Yes, the Lakers are now facing some issues with Russell Westbrook, even though he is so good at basketball. And also Lakers tried to trade Russ, which puts us in strange. Why do the Lakers want to trade Westbrook? Let's get deep into this, but before going straight to the content, here is the brand new information on the channel, is that 3 lucky winners will get a chance to win PS5. Only you have to comment your views on this trade in the comments section below. Let's start today's topic. So the Lakers are in a very tough situation with Russell Westbrook at this point, in the sense that they're clearly trying to trade him. Originally it was for Kyrie Irving, but trade talks with Kyrie Irving fell through because the Lakers didn't want to include an additional first-round pick. They only want to include one first-round pick, the 2027 first-round pick, in addition to Russell Westbrook, trade for Kyrie Irving and hopefully Seth Curry. But the Brooklyn Nets wanted an additional first-round pick in order to trade Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook. The Lakers have since pivoted, and this has kind of caused some tension in the Lakers front office behind the scenes. Russell Westbrook for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner's trade is better than a Kyrie Irving trade. Unfortunately, the Lakers are falling into the same exact trap once again. Originally Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss would prefer Buddy Hield and Miles Turner over Kyrie Irving, and it's no surprise. I mean, it's really hard to go all in on a player like Kyrie Irving given how the last 3 years of his career have gone and his current reputation. As much as we love watching Kyrie Irving play basketball, you have to admit you don't know how dependable he is, you don't know how much he loves the game of basketball, and you don't even know if he's going to commit to the Lakers past next year. But in addition to that, adding Buddy Hield and Miles Turner will complete the Lakers a little bit more, giving them significantly more depth. It just makes a lot more sense to pivot towards that direction. The Lakers are in a situation where every single NBA team knows that if they go into this season with Russell Westbrook once again, that they most probably won't even make it to the play-in. I strongly believe that means if you just pay attention to how Russell Westbrook's demeanor has been during the off-season, it doesn't really seem like there's been a change in his philosophy. There hasn't been a single point where he said, "I'm gonna put the team first, I'm gonna modify my game." It seems like, for the most part, he's been scapegoating other people or not holding himself accountable for the fact that he had his worst season since his rookie season with the Los Angeles Lakers. And it doesn't seem like he's willing to alter his game at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he even fired his agent as a result of this whole ordeal. The bad defense. Russell Westbrook could have been one of the greatest defenders ever at his position with 99th percentile athleticism, 6'4" height, 200 pounds, quick feet, and lateral movement that every slow white guy dreams up, and he showed glimpses of great defense at times during the 2012 Olympics, flanked by LeBron, Kobe, and other all-stars. Ross didn't have to worry about offense at all. Instead, he was hounding opposing point guards. He was always in a defensive stance. He was a menace in the passing lanes, always looking to get a steal for a fast break. In the 2012 playoffs against OKC, mass shooting guard Jason Terry was scorching hot, hitting almost every shot. Coming into the fourth quarter of Game 1 and then rust switched onto him and became his shadow. Terry couldn't even get open to receive a pass, let alone hoist a jump shot, and he went scoreless in the fourth quarter. But the problem with Russell is that kinds of defensive outputs were isolated incidents, not an everyday occurrence. Too often Westbrook is just a bystander contributing to the defense. Sometimes Russ lets an opposing player go by him, not even attempting to stop the dribble penetration, or he gets thrown out of balance by a simple crossover because he's not in a defensive stance. During the last regular season with the Cavs and the first year with the Lakers, when he was usually resting on defense when the screen comes with, pretends to instruct another teammate to run over while he stays with the screener, not wanting to fight through the screen, and she says the man. Of course, this kind of action often causes the defense to rotate and eventually crack, giving the opposing team an open shot. We could also mention the gambling to get steals, even though Westbrook doesn't hunt steals as often as he wants. Vogel's best chance for a good defense is putting rest in the corner to guard the corner three, and this tactic is often employed by coaches when they're dealing with a bad defender. Russ passes fast and dunks the ball hard doesn't mean he's playing hard all the time. Kobe was the same, and in the first half of his career, you always guarded the best opposing player. Giannis, Scottie Pippen, Jordan, and a lot of other greats did it too, because basketball is not football, and you have to play on both sides of the court. If anyone still thinks that Westbrook is playing each game at 100%, watch Alex Caruso or TJ McConnell play, and how they're fighting through screens, running and rotating on each play and diving to the floor. Ross can do all those things, but he rarely does. He's not focused on defense. He makes terrible reads, and frankly, his defense is a waste of athleticism. The Lakers left Russ wide open during their 2020 playoff series with the Rockets. I don't know how they expected him to become this great shooter all of a sudden. What Russell is great at, and what he should be doing more, is cutting to the basket, posting smaller players in the paint, penetrating the paint to create open shots, and occasionally shooting spot-up threes, which are the only jump shots that he is shooting at a decent clip. The problem is that he's not great at moving without the ball, and he never was. As soon as the ball leaves his hands, Russell can become a spectator just like he does on defense. Russ didn't average less than 4 turnovers per game since 2014, and he's near the bottom of the league in turnover percentage in 2022 as well. Yes, he's averaging nearly 8 assists per game, but his assist-to-turnover ratio is among the worst out of all starting point guards, and 2020 to the ugly. But if he's not a good defender and he's inefficient on offense, he's probably earning the veteran minimum, right? Because Russell Westbrook will earn $44 million this season, which is the 4th highest salary in the NBA this season. But that's not all. He also has a player option for next year with $47 million, making his contract the worst in the NBA. Currently, with all due respect, this move would instantly put them in a situation where they could finish in the top 4 or 5 in the Western Conference, instead of investing in 3 superstars and then signing a bunch of role players to veteran minimum contracts. You should do whatever you can to surround your 2 best players with as many good role players as you possibly could, pretty much what the Lakers had in the 2019 season. Currently, pulling a trade between Russell Westbrook for Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, etc. But according to Bob Kravitz, this trade is at a standstill. The Lakers are in a very tough situation. They are in a scenario where the Lakers clearly need to trade Russell Westbrook. If you want to be a contender at the same time, you need to give up 2 first-round picks, which essentially will screw over your team in the future. So, what do you think about this trade? Do let us know in the comments section below and get a chance to win a brand new PS5. If you enjoyed watching the video, do like and share, and yes, don't forget to hit that notification bell. Thank you so much.